Teachers, how do you deal with tough parents? I've always tried to hold honest conversations with parents, and luckily, only one parent has ever hit me for the things I've said. Almost 10 years ago, I had one male student who suddenly started doing badly in my class. His assignments were always submitted late or incomplete, and his exams were always on the verge of failing. I felt worried, wondering if my lessons were too tough or if my pacing in class wasn't good for my students. So one day after class, I pulled him to the side and asked him how things had been in his life and if there was anything going on that had been affecting his grades. He sat at his desk thinking for a moment as if he wasn't sure if he could open up to me. I smiled gently and promised him that anything he said would stay between us. He nodded and opened up about how he had been busy staying up to practice for an upcoming video game competition. I asked him more about the game and was amazed at how he passionately spoke about it. I told him that just for his tournament schedule, I would give him more leeway on assignments, but for tests, I asked him to put in a little bit more effort. Before leaving the class, he asked shyly, "Can my friends and I stay after class to plan for our upcoming competition?" I of course accepted on the condition that his grades would slowly get better by the end of the semester. He promised it would and left excitedly to tell his friends the news. A week later, the kids' parents stormed into my class demanding why their son always came home late and still had low grades. I explained how their son's grades will improve after his gaming competition. In a condescending tone, they asked, "Huh? He's not even allowed to play video games." I frowned, realizing that he had been staying after class just to get a bit of practice in without his parents restricting him. Instead of throwing him under the bus, I asked them to trust their son and advised them to be open to nurturing his talents, even if it's something outside of just studying. The mom slapped my cheek while the dad called me incompetent. They walked out looking even more angry than when they first showed up. I glanced into the hallway and watched them walk into the principal's office, requesting for my dismissal. The principal had no choice but to suspend me while putting the situation under investigation. I felt very sad, especially given how much I loved my work. A few students who heard about the incident protested against my suspension. Unfortunately, it did nothing. However, a few days later, I received a call from the principal asking for me to return to work immediately. I was confused by his sudden change of heart until I opened the local news and saw the students' interview during the esports championship, thanking me for supporting him and asking for help with my suspension. Because of his public message, several parents from different grade levels called in to protest against my suspension, forcing the principal to take me back. But at that point, I felt betrayed by my school's system. I searched for a new job and got hired as a teacher for a more prestigious school in the area.